It's a nation that has gone from one of its core ideals and values, mistrust of authority, to, in our lifetime, a universal appeal to authority fallacy. That's the difference. It's no king. Watch what we do with this tea in this harbor. No. The president is not a king. We're not going to do that. No. We need to have 3 branches of government so that each one is separate and apart. No. Citizens, you have to keep guns because you shouldn't even trust us, right? At some point, if we screw up and we become like the old monarchy, you need to be able to take us out. That's the founding of this nation. No. Hold on a second. We have to ensure that all of you can speak freely, even if I don't like it. Even if I think that it's really important that in this nation, we don't screw up and just say, you know what, the experts, the king, the government is looking out for us. We're going to actually put this in writing. We're going to sign it to make sure that this nation doesn't trust blindly. I think the problem that people have, I was just writing this down because we're talking about these institutions. This is the left, right? They always say Donald Trump is sowing mistrust in institutions. I don't think he is. I don't think he is. I think if you trust any of your institutions in 2024, and by the way, this was considered worse than calling someone a in the Bible. I think you're a fool. Honestly, let's go. Right now, we're talking about this. Okay, public health. That's your institution. Public health. Does anyone actually believe that public health is serving the public health, is making the public healthier? Let's go through that institution, public health. The food pyramid? Yeah. Obese is beautiful? Is you can be healthy at all weights? Public health? Public mental health? The kind of health that served Audrey Hale? Yeah, your trends. Public health at one point used to be, hey, don't eat so much. Move more. You're overweight. You're unhealthy. No, you're not going to get an imaginary penis installed. You're a girl. Let's go through these institutions. Well, we have.
Well, I like the health one because you can go down a rabbit hole with that one. All these things you're talking about. Let's take the fat thing, not even the trans thing. Take the fat thing, the overweight thing. They tell you, oh, it's fine. You're beautiful how you are. You don't need to exercise. You just need to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. After a while, they socialize these programs.
Yeah.
And now that's a service they don't have to provide.
Right.
No, it's they'll die soon.
Well, how do they get it wrong so often? You had your institution of public health, and of course, this is mentioning whether it's USDA, at this point the FDA to some degree, right? You can certainly talk about the WHO, all right. Include mental health. They actually are antithetical to what you would need to provide the public with health. They told you eggs were bad for you and that you should have, I believe, 11 servings of grains. You believe that? I was just watching this the other day. I was watching Sesame Street and with the little ones, and they were saying, eat your vegetables, eat your fruit. By the way, I'm not a carnivore diet person. I think fruit is good for you. Eat some fruit. Mm-hmm. But let me ask you this, genuinely. If you have a growing child who's 3 years old, 4 years old, and someone said, okay, they're only going to eat one thing today, celery or liver or a piece of steak. When have you ever heard, in children's programming, be sure to get your sources of protein, be sure to get your animal fats and meat, which we know are most important to the developing brain. I'm not saying that you should only eat steak and that everything else should be shunned. I think you should have a relatively balanced diet. I don't believe a balanced diet is a food pyramid where 11 servings of grain and if you actually were to follow that, you'd be weak and likely a little bit fat. You'd be skinny fat. You could develop, now if you're underneath your calorie output, you'd still be okay, but it certainly wouldn't be ideal. Public health. Anyone actually believe that they are serving the public health with lockdowns? Anybody actually believe that they were serving the public health with completely untested mRNA injections? Anyone believe they're serving the public health by telling you can be beautiful at any weight and literally changing, as far as mental health, the handbook for psychiatrists and psychologists due to political pressure? Let's look at other institutions. Public service, the idea of public service. Your representatives. 2024, you believe actually they're serving you? They do the opposite. They are there to not serve you. They are there to serve themselves. If you look at politicians, you're talking about people who exponentially increase their personal net worth while Americans are struggling more than ever. Public health, they exist to not serve public health.
I mean, why?
They exist to harm public health. Public service, they exist to harm the idea of servitude. Intelligence agencies, there's another institution. Intelligence agencies, do they exist to provide intelligence? Really? They exist to hide intelligence, which is what they did during the 2020 election. They literally went to big tech, said, hey, this is Russian collusion. You saw Hunter Biden's laptop for the very first time on this show. Mayor Giuliani, we were as shocked as you were. They exist to hide intelligence. You see it right now with the Nashville Manifesto. Let's go through these. Oh, public safety. Public safety. Do you believe? Let's look at traffic laws. Hey, let me ask you this. Let's go through all of it, because right here you could see a motivation. You can see the police force, right? You could see them. They could actually help the public be safer by understanding the why behind a mass shooting. It doesn't take Columbo to figure out Transnational Day of Vengeance and someone who identifies as transgender goes out and kills people and identifies them as crackers and hates white privilege and blonde hair. But the police force says, we're out here for public safety. We're going to release this. No, they don't. But let's even go a step further. Public safety, okay? I understand you don't want to speak because you don't want to kill people. But if it was a public safety institution, why would they hide to encourage you to speed and make money afterward? Wouldn't they want their presence to discourage people? Right? If you could actively discourage people from breaking the law before they do it without violating rights, like, I don't know, having the police car out there publicly so that the people who are speeding and are a danger to other folks may tone it down a little bit. Instead, you hide and you hit the soccer mom who's late for practice. That's another part of public safety, isn't it? We look at what? Education? Public education. Does anyone actually believe that public education, that institution, serves the interests of the public? Math scores are down. Literacy rates are down. Trillions of dollars on the Federal Department of Education, and you have nothing to show for it. They exist to stop people from becoming educated. Think about that. You have a huge percentage of universities in the United States that do not have one single conservative professor. That doesn't happen anywhere else in the natural world. You don't get that kind of a demographic breakdown, ideological breakdown, in the most blue area of San Francisco. So public education, they exist not to educate the public. And if they do, let's assume pure motives, well, then they failed. Public safety, I would argue they exist not to make the public safe. But even if they are trying to, they failed. They believe that hiding and setting speeding traps for mom and pop, they believe that that's the right way to keep the public safe. They believe that giving people space to burn and riot and arresting business owners for firing back is how they keep you safe. Let's assume altruistic motives. Let's assume that public safety in these departments who say, okay, $999 or less, you have to let them go. You have to let these criminals go. Let them steal from you. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it takes place 20 times a day. It's in the interest of public safety. We wouldn't want you defending your shop. That's your Department of Public Safety. Let's assume altruistic motives. Okay, the FBI, the CIA, the DOJ, they just got it wrong. There's no possible way that they could have had access to the tools that we have right here to verify the Hunter Biden laptop. They were just wrong. And because of that, an election was stolen from the American public. Why don't you trust your intelligence agencies? Public service. Hey, yeah, people like Nancy Pelosi who've gone into office and seen their stock portfolio skyrocket that occurs nowhere else in the natural world. Public service, these public servants. You have someone like Joe Biden who hasn't seen the private sector since he was still probably drunk in his post-college years. And you see people who are exempt. They want to tell you that Donald Trump acts like he's above the law. Well, Donald Trump didn't actually work in the public sector for a very long time, so there was at least some form of accountability, because I don't know if you know this, private citizens get arrested. Private citizens face consequences. Public servants don't. We see it time and time again. Let's assume altruistic motives. All right, they just happen to make some good investments. They just happen to get a salary with benefits that occurs nowhere in the private realm. Oh, yeah, no, public servants, no. They want you to have more affordable housing. They just screwed up time and time again, and they're going to do it again They give you $25,000 for a down payment on a house you can't afford. And they're going to do it again with public policy that makes gas more expensive and you see record high inflation. Why don't you trust your institution? These public servants, they're there to serve you. Public health assume, we go back to that, altruistic motives. They believe that lean meats, that liver is the devil. And you should be eating Cocoa Puffs and Wonder Bread because that's a balanced diet. Well, guess what? If they believe that, they were trying to serve you, they screwed up. They believed that eggs were bad for you and they're going to hurt your cholesterol and that kids shouldn't eat them. When every study we now have available to us shows us that it's a superfood, used to be cheap, important. A lot of essential fatty acids to the developing brain. Hey, does that tie back to the public education institution where we're seeing lowered literacy rates and math rates? For the first time, all of these institutions, let's think about it. Public safety, public health, education, your public servants, and intelligence. For the first time in American history, you have a generation who will live less long. They will have a shorter lifespan than the previous generation, riddled with more chronic, often avoidable diseases and illnesses, and they will be less capable of reading and performing basic math equations.
Good, they say.
Those are institutions. Why don't you trust them? It's a really simple answer. Results. It's the results. I question the motives. That's me, conspiracy theorist, because I don't know how you fuck up every single time. But you don't need that.
Yeah.
Just the results.
Yeah, just they'll do better next time.
You're fatter, sicker, dumber, and less safe.
Yeah.
You need more money.
Yes. You know what the problem is that Donald Trump was the messenger. They're trying to kill the messenger. Mm-hmm. He didn't make these institutions less trustworthy. He simply pointed out the fact that they are not trustworthy. And he has been the example. Mm-hmm. These institutions coming after him, showing they're not trustworthy.
Yeah.
It's not his fault that you guys got found out.
Yeah. No, why don't you trust your institutions? Well, I don't know. Maybe because there was a man within, 300 yards, 100, I'm trying to remember the shooting, who was there who the general populace, citizens identified on the roof with a gun trying to shoot a presidential candidate. And you had the Secret Service and local PD who, again, pardon my language, fucked up. And the saving grace was that Donald Trump turned his head. That's why I don't trust those institutions. You want to point the finger and blame us? What did we do? What did the public do? They said, there's a shooter right there on the roof, guys.
1,000 times.
And the institution said, yeah, but it's sloped. Eat a dick. How about that?
A sloped dick.
It's sloped.
No? Okay.
You're going to blame me for not trusting you? I literally told you how I just did your job and told you how to finish it, and you didn't. And it's people on YouTube. It's citizen journalists who, by the way, you're not a real journalist. Well, really? Let me ask you this. Who's the real medical expert? The person who says, eat less, move more, try and limit maybe refined carbohydrate intake, eat whole foods as a general rule, eat until you're full, who happens to exist, maybe has a random profile on Instagram or Twitter, or the giant multi-billion-dollar institution that tells you everything that guy just said is bullshit?
Well, why tell somebody to work out and eat healthy when you can just sell them Ozempic?
Yeah. Well, not only Ozempic, just, hey, before we even get to that, just tell them, you're great the way you are.
Here's your depression pills.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know what's really, really valuable to counterbalance these institutions? And they'll tell you it's not empirical, and that's true, but is the lived experience. I don't know if you know this. Anyone out there been severely overweight, have a crappy diet?
No.
Anyone ever tighten it up? How do you feel? Huh? How do you feel? Do you feel better? Because the institutions tell you, no. That's just, you're fine either way. That's where we are now.
Yeah.
My shoe is still untied.
The pills, yeah. The pills will make you feel better.
Yeah, the airplane seats are too small.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're making them smaller. I joke around people all the time. I go, they're making these seats smaller.
Yeah.
That's what I get on. I'm like, oh, they must be making these seats. It's just a joke, you know?
And right now, Americans are going through the lived experience with all of public service, that institution. All the senators, all the congressmen and women and Z's, all the unappointed, unelected czars and people in positions of great political influence like the Faucis of the world who didn't need a vote. Americans are living with those consequences. It's the lived experience. And so then when you reach that point, they say, trust your institutions, trust your institutions. When the institutions fail and you no longer trust them, what do? They remove your voice because you're a radical if you don't trust them. We can't have that in America. By the way, pack the court. That's where we are. It's got to change.
Can you imagine if they'd silenced Jefferson's radicalism?
Yeah. Any of them.
Franklin.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that guy was a radical. All kinds of crazy ideas.
Even Adams, who was positively some dude by comparison.
Yeah.
Today,
Yeah.
they'd treat him like McVeigh.
Absolutely, they would.
Sorry, I didn't want to get on my soapbox, but it's just you see all, you're like, oh gosh, yeah, it's just another failure at every single point of our major institutions, and then they blame the public.
They're all coincidental failures. We had the best intent in mind, it just didn't work out. We'll try it again the same way.
How about earning our trust back? That'd be great. Maybe start by doing that. Taking responsibility for your. I think that's really ultimately what they're trying to get rid of is what makes us. One of the things I shouldn't say the only thing, but it's that personal accountability that kind of, I don't know, that can-do spirit that Americans have. Like, we will go out and do it. We don't need a government to do it. In fact, we don't want a government to do it. We want to go do it. Right? It's that spirit of entrepreneurship. Like, that is one of the things that rugged Americanism, like, it's built upon that. And if you just take that away and say, well, the government's going to help you with everything and all of the pills, everything that's necessary to live a terrible lifestyle and have no difficult decisions to make to go work out or not to eat this food that's not healthy for you or anything like that. Like, you can do all that and you'll just live longer. At the very end of your life, though, the 10 or 15 years that you kind of just exist, we're going to make a fortune off of you.
It's a fundamental shift, and this is why the left is anti-American. It's a fundamental shift in Americanism. And what do I mean by that? And I've seen this just rapidly accelerate in my lifetime. Look, there is a reason that we have more guns in America than other countries. There's a reason that we have the Second Amendment. People don't like to say this because they want to avoid getting in trouble. Say there's never, ever a time for political violence. That's not true. For proof, see America. There's political violence.
Twice,
right?
at least.
So the nation founded on fundamental mistrust of authorities and institutions, and a system of government was created to ensure that there is no centralized authority that is to be trusted. That's the reason we have a system of checks and balances. It's a nation that has gone from one of its core ideals and values, mistrust of authority, to, in our lifetime, a universal appeal to authority fallacy. That's the difference. It's no king. Watch what we do with this tea in this harbor. No. The president is not a king. We're not going to do that. No. We need to have 3 branches of government so that each one is separate and apart. No. Citizens, you have to keep guns because you shouldn't even trust us, right? At some point, if we screw up and we become like the old monarchy, you need to be able to take us out. That's the founding of this nation. No. Hold on a second. We have to ensure that all of you can speak freely, even if I don't like it. Even if I think that it's really important that in this nation, we don't screw up and just say, you know what, the experts, the king, the government is looking out for us. We're going to actually put this in writing. We're going to sign it to make sure that you know this nation doesn't trust blindly. It was a nation of skeptics. It was a nation of skeptics. 2, you don't trust the WHO? You don't trust the CDC? Oh, I'm sure you know better than Anthony Fauci. Oh, I'm sure you know better than Christopher Wray? We've gone from a nation of skeptics and fundamental mistrust of authority to appeal to authority, which is one of the intellectual fallacies that is not only as old as time, it's as lazy as can be. And that alone, if you have to distill it down to one reason, is the reason for falls of nations. No. We'll trust them to do it because it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to trust someone else to do the job for you than to have to stay on top of it. It sucks. I'll tell you that. It sucks. It sucks to have to follow this stuff every day. It sucks to have to stay on top of it. It sucks to have to figure out when you're being lied to, when people are manipulating you, when those who should be serving you are fleecing you. It sucks. It's exhausting. It really is a battle of attrition. But guess what? It has to be done. Otherwise, you end up like, pick a nation. Cuba, Russia, you know what? Throw in Europe. For all the white supremacists who talk about white Europe, yeah, UK, France, they are places that were at one point in time. They are not places that are today. And that's because they all said, the people in charge are looking out for us. If you believe it, great. Just end up like Europe, or the entire continent of Africa, or the entire continent of Asia. Or be on top of it. And don't trust. Doesn't make you a cynic. Makes you an American. Keep watching. Click. Keep watching. Click. Keep watching. Click to keep watching. Click. Keep watching. Click. Keep watching.